spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back in to another week of the PSN Sports Network. I'm your host, Brock Bennett, with Nikita Magnum and Artie Decker. And guys, last week was the end of the regular season, and this week it is time for round one of the high school football playoffs. And Nikita, we'll start with you. Who do you have in your first round moving into the second round out of Class 7A?
Starting at the top, which would be your South bracket, I have Jeff Davis in a upset over Fairhope. I have Auburn beating Foley, Central Phoenix City beating Murphy, and Baker beating Prattville. In the North bracket, I have Hoover over Buckhorn, Tuscaloosa County over Bob Jones, Hewitt Trussville over Gadsden City, and James Clemens over Oak Mountain.
Well, I mean, looking at the South for myself, I would have to say Fairhope over Jeff Davis. I have Foley upsetting Auburn, Central Phoenix over Murphy, Baker over Prattville, and then Hoover taking out Buckhorn, Bob Jones surviving Tuscaloosa County, Hewitt Trussville pulling the upset once again over Gadsden City, and I'm on the James Clemens train with you taking out Oak Mountain.
Well, Artie, who do you have in your Final Four selection and your state title game in 7A?
My Final Four would be in the South. I've got Central Phoenix playing Fairhope and Fairhope winning. And then I have Hoover taking on Hewitt Trussville and Hoover winning. And then Hoover beats Fairhope for the state title.
Nikita, what about your Final Four and state title game in 7A?
I got Auburn coming through and playing Central Phoenix City in a region matchup from earlier in the year, and Hoover in another region matchup from earlier against Hewitt Trussville, with Hoover advancing to play Central Phoenix City. And yes, you might have guessed it, the Bucks will be your 7A state champions.
We're sliding down to Class 6A now. Artie, we'll start with you. Who do you have moving on to the next round, and also your Final Four and your state champion out of 6A?
Well, I got Carver Montgomery getting by Pell City. In the second matchup, I have Daphne actually upsetting Hillcrest Tuscaloosa. I have Opelika taking care of Wetumpka. I have Saraland beating Bessemer. I have Blunt upsetting McAdory. Oxford over Dothan also in an upset. Spanish Fort taking care of Northridge. And Ben Russell holding serve over Stanhope Elmore. And then in the North, I have Clay Chalkville pretty much embarrassing Scottsboro. And then I have Muscle Shoals in a close one over Minor. And Pinson Valley goes into Southside and to Barney Hoodfield and pulls the upset. And I have Decatur, who's been red hot, and I think they upset Walker. And then I take Florence over Briarwood. Even though Avery's playing well, I like Shays Valley to take care of them. And Hartsville pulls the upset over Homewood. And then finally, I have Gardendale going into Fort Payne and getting the W.
What about your Final Four and your state title game?
My Final Four, I have Florence taking on Clay Chalkville and Clay Chalkville winning. And then in the South, I have Spanish Fort taking on probably Saraland. And Spanish Fort wins that one, which sets up Spanish Fort and Clay Chalkville in a really good matchup. And I like Clay Chalkville to win it.
Well, Nikita, the same question, is asked in your direction. Who do you have moving on next, your Final Four and your state title game in 6A?
My round two matchups stand as I read right here. I got Carver Montgomery playing Daphne, Opelika playing Saraland, McAdory playing Oxford, Spanish Fort playing Benjamin Russell. Going to the North bracket, I have Clay Chalkville playing Muscle Shoals, Pinson Valley playing Decatur, Florence playing Shades Valley, Hartsville playing Gardendale, and my final four will be Saraland versus Spanish Fort and Clay Chalkville versus Florence. And like already, I have the Fort playing Chalkville in the finals, but I have the Toros winning the 6A state title.
Well, Artie, what about 5A? Who do you have coming out of that, classification going into the second round?
In the South, I have Sylacauga in a pretty good upset over Greenville in that first round. I have Viger also upsetting Calera. Tallahassee holds serve over Rehoboth, and Jackson also over Central Tuscaloosa. And then we have Demopolis beating BC Rain. Charles Henderson and Beauregard in a very entertaining game, but I like Charles Henderson at the end of the night. And then we have St. Paul's beating a good little Helena team. And then Clay Central over Eufaula. And then looking to the north, we have Lincoln over Boaz in a close game. Russellville over Pleasant Grove. Gunnersville over Moody. Joe Johnson goes into Ramsey, pulls off the upset. East Limestone all over Dora. Etowah goes to Mortimer Jordan, pulls the upset. I like Parker by just a little bit, but a really close game over West Point. And then Madison County outlast Alexandria.
How did your Final Four and your state title game, shape up?
Well, I have Limestone playing Gunnersville in the final in the north in a really good game, but I'm going to give the edge to East Limestone. And then I have St. Paul playing Viger. And St. Paul will beat Viger, and they'll set up a St. Paul and a East Limestone matchup, and St. Paul's wins.
Nikita, what about your bracket in 5A?
I got Sylacauga in a upset over Greenville. I got Viger beating Calera, Tallahassee over Rehoboth, Jackson over Central Tuscaloosa, Demopolis over BC Rain, Charles Henderson over Beauregard, St. Paul's over Helena, and Clay Central over Eufaula. Lincoln over Boaz, Pleasant Grove over Russellville, Gunnersville over Moody, J.O. Johnson over Ramsey. I've got East Limestone beating Dora, Mortimer Jordan beating Etowah in the Battle of the Blue Devils, Parker over West Point, and Alexandria Valley Cubs in the upset over Madison County. And my final four, I have Viger and Charles Henderson in the South, Gunnersville, East Limestone in the North, and I got Viger playing East Limestone in the finals, and East Limestone winning that game for your 5A state title.
Well, Nikita, staying with you and going to 4A now. Just break down your Final Four, your next round matchups, and your state title game.
In the second round, I have these matchups. Montford playing W.S. Neal, Leeds playing Clark County, West Blockton playing Childersburg, UMS Wright playing Dadeville. And in the north bracket, I have Cleburne County playing Cordova, Aniana playing Elkmont, Deshler playing North Jackson, and Fayette County playing Locust Fort. And in the final four, I have north bracket Cleburne County versus Deshler, Leeds versus Dadeville, and I have Leeds and Deshler advancing to the finals, and the Green Wave will be your 4A state champion once again.
Looking to my south bracket, I have Munford actually upsetting St. James. I have W.S. Neal upsetting Northside. I have the Leeds Green Wave rolling over Ashford. I have Clark County beating Bibb County. I have West Blockton beating Thomasville. I have Strone in a close one over Childersburg. I have UMS Wright beating Sipsey Valley. And then I have Dadeville in a really close one over Trinity. And then looking to the north, I have Cleburne County over Westminster. I have Wilson over Cordova. Aniana over Sardis. Elkmont upsets Haleyville. Deshler over Hamilton. North Jackson and Saxon, a really good one, but I like Saxon at the end of the night. And then I have Fayette County beating Central Florence. And then in that final game, we have Jacksonville going into Locust Fort and pulling off the upset. And then looking to my final four, we would have to have Cleburne County playing Sacs in a rematch, and I think Sacs gets the better of them this time, which puts Sacs in the final, taking on either Leeds, and it's really close between Strone and UMS Wright, but I'm going to give Strone the nod. And Leeds beats Strone, therefore it puts Leeds versus Sacs in an interesting matchup, but I like the Green Wave to take home the state title.
Already staying with you and going to know him. 3A now. Just run down your set of games you have and just go ahead and make your Final Four picks or your prediction and your predictions for the state title game.
All right, we got Dale County over Prattville Christian. We have Geneva over Aliceville. We have Montgomery Academy getting by Daleville. T.R. Miller over Greensboro. Gordo over Hillcrest Evergreen. Fultondale and Jared Stewart pulling the upset over Pike County. Opp beating Lamar County. We have Midfield beating Slocum in a close one. And then looking to the north, we have Glencoe over Sylvania, Lauderdale County over Vinemont, Plainview over Weaver. Colbert County pulls the upset over Winfield. Madison Academy rolls over Winston County. Piedmont rolls over Pisgah. Oakman in a close one over Lexington. And then Welborn going into Geraldine and winning soundly. And then looking to our Final Four, it would set up a Glencoe versus Madison Academy in the north, which would be a really good game, but I like Madison Academy to outlast them. Just too many athletes. And then looking to the south, I would have Opp taking on probably Dale County. It's really close, but I'm going to stick with that one. And I have Opp actually beating them, which sets up an Opp and Madison Academy final, and Madison Academy Mustangs win it once again.
Nikita, how does your 3A bracket look?
Well, looking at my second round matchups, they will, I hope, be to this extent. I've got Dale County playing Aliceville, Montgomery Academy playing T.R. Miller, Gordo in a good matchup against Fultondale, and Opp playing Slocum. And then I got the north bracket, Glencoe playing Lauderdale County, Plainview playing that old perennial playoff matchup, Colbert County, Madison Academy against a really good Piedmont Bulldog team, and Oakman taking on Walter Welborn. And my Final Four and my finals match Artie's to the T. I've got Dale County and Opp, Glencoe, Madison Academy, with Madison Academy and Opp in the final. And once again, your Mustangs will be 3A state champion.
Going to 2A, Artie, who do you have just overall, everything setting up your way? Who do you have going to the second round, Final Four, and state title game?
Well, I got GW Long in a close one over New Brockton. I have Leroy upsetting Thorsby, Elba over Houston Academy, Sweetwater over RC Hatch, Pickens County over Flomaton, Cottonwood in a close one over Luverne, Washington County rolls over Vincent, Goshen over Geneva County. And then looking to the north, in the Snake Pit, I got Tanner all over Ryder. Randolph County goes into Sulligent, pulls the upset. Fife all over Tarrant. Reeltown over Hatton. Red Bay just by a whisker over Woodland. And then I have Cleveland going into Addison, pulling the upset. And then Ramburn over Phil Campbell. And then in a close one also at the Ridge, I have Gaston pulling it out. And then looking to our Final Four, I have the Rattlers taking on Ranburn, and the Rattlers go to the finals for the fourth straight year. And then we have Washington County playing Sweetwater, and Washington County wins again, and that sets up for the third straight year, Washington County taking on Tanner. But this time around, I have Washington County being your state champion.
Well, Nikita, does yours look similar to Artie's bracket?
I've got a few subtle differences here. I've got GW Long beating New Brockton, Leroy beating Thorsby. I've got Elba beating Houston Academy. I've got Sweetwater over RC Hatch, Pickens County over Flomaton. I've actually got Laverne to beat Cottonwood, Washington County over Vincent, and Goshen over Geneva County. I've got Tanner in a blowout over Ider, Randolph County beating Sulligent, Fife on Tarrant, Reeltown beating Hatton, actually got Woodland beating Red Bay in a very close athletic game, Cleveland over Addison, Ranburn over Phil Campbell, and Gaston over Cold Springs. And my Final Four, once again, matches RDs, except I've got the Rattlers repeating as your 2A state champion.
And moving to the last classification, here is 1A. And Nikita, we'll go back to you for 1A. Break down this group of matchups, your Final Four once again, and your state title game for Class 1A.
I'm going to start in the north bracket this time. I've got Hubbardsville on beating the 4 seed Jacksonville Christian. I've got Phillipsburg Creek beating Wadley, South Lamar over Valley Head, Raglan over R.A. Hubbard, Hackleburg over Talladega Central. I've got Berry over Cedar Bluff, Donahoe over Decatur Heritage, and Spring Garden in a squeaker versus Marion County. I've got, in the south bracket, I've got Brantley over Lochapoka, Linden over Chickasaw, Billingsley over Kinston, J.U. Blackshear over Elwood Christian. I've got Maplesville over Millry, McKenzie over Isabella, Fruitdale over A.L. Johnson, and Notasulga over Georgiana. And then my Final Four shapes up like this. I've got Brantley versus Maplesville in the south, Hubbardsville versus Donahoe in the north, and then I've got Maplesville versus Donahoe at Auburn for the 1A state title, but Maplesville pulls it out.
Already, how did your 1A bracket shape up?
In the south, we have Brantley over Lochapoka, Linden over Chickasaw, Billingsley over Kinston, J.U. Blackshear over Elwood Christian, Maplesville in a blowout over Millry, McKenzie in a close one over Isabella, Fruitdale over A.L. Johnson, and then finally we have Georgiana going into Notasulga and pulling the upset. And then looking to the north, we have Hubbardsville in a blowout over Jacksonville Christian, Wadley upsets Phillips of Bear Creek, and then we have South Lamar going into Valley Heads. Sorry, folks, but I got South Lamar beating your Tigers. And then we have Raglan over R.A. Hubbard, and Hackleburg in a close one over Talladega County Central. And then Berry Fayette takes out Cedar Bluff, and Donahoe puts it on Decatur Heritage. And then finally, in an upset, in a close game, I do believe, Marion County goes into Spring Garden and gets the win. And then looking for a Final Four, I have that cliche matchup, if you know 1A football in the South, being Brantley and Maplesville, two very competitive schools. But I have Maplesville getting the better of them. And then in the north, we have Hubbardsville playing Donahoe in a very interesting matchup of offense versus defense. But at the end of the night, I like Hubbardsville to just barely pull it out, and that will set up a Hubbardsville and a Maplesville final, and Maplesville just won't be denied.
Well, already looking at all the classifications, 1A through 7A, a team other than Hoover, who could be that team that could be dominant throughout the playoffs?
Well, I mean, as I just mentioned, that Maplesville team, you take it, for instance, they went in to Tanner and got a win, which is hard to do. So, I mean, you give them big props for that. And then also, this past week, took on a really good Sweetwater team, and I believe beat them 41-7 thereabouts. That's very impressive to me, and they're going to be extremely hard to beat in 1A.
Well, I like the looks of this Donahoe team. You know, they've dominated on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense is not that prolific, but they're only giving up 2.8 points a game. I mean, that's a pretty stout defense. I don't care what classification you're in.
Very much so. Also, you got to look at, to an extent, I think we take them for granted being Madison Academy. I mean, anytime you put Kerryon Johnson and Malik Miller on the same field together on the same team, it's a mountain to be climbed to be able to actually get the W over a team like that.
Exactly, and if you don't know who these kids are, let me put it in some better perspective for you. It's like having Emmitt Smith and Adrian Peterson as your starter and your backup. So, I mean, it's a pretty deadly combination when it comes to 3A football.
Well, you have Kerryon Johnson being able to just hurt you as a very versatile player, lining up at, wide out, running back, whatever it takes, even some wildcat too. And if he's not doing any of that, he may be up in the stand selling popcorn programs, whatever, taking tickets at the gate. The kid does it all. And then you have Malik Miller being able to just run you over and being that beastly presence, running the football, and plus playing linebacker, being dangerous at that also.
Well, not to mention Kerryon likes to play in the secondary and take the ball away from him when he can, so he's all over the field.
He's definitely a ball hawk, and you have to watch out for him if you're going to throw the football.
Well, fellas, looking ahead to our team of the week from this past week, we had the Collinsville Panthers over the Valley Head Tigers in their annual rival game, as Collinsville beat them 46-18. And already talk a little bit about this Collinsville team. Lost 6 in a row. They got that rival win over Valley Head to sort of, get their seniors that final win, even though they didn't make the playoffs. Just sort of talk about Collinsville, getting that, last win of the season over the rival Valley Head.
Well, as you say, you lose 6 games in a row. I don't care who you're playing, and, to top it all off to beat your rival, it's just got to be that much more sweet. You're disappointed at the fact you didn't make the playoffs, but it's always nice to go out on a win, and especially a win over your rival.
Yeah, we looked at Valley Head to take care of this Collinsville team that was on the backside skid of a really good start. They started out 3-0, and then they went 6 games that lost. But we failed to look and see that Valley Head in non-region play this year has not won a ball game already. I mean, it's just hard to imagine only winning in your region and not winning anything outside of there.
Exactly. I mean, I think we kind of just overlooked this matchup a little bit. I mean, you had earlier in the year Collinsville taking out Cedar Bluff, which is a team that's very similar to Valley Head. We should have looked at it a little bit closer and probably could have seen this coming. But I got a few stats for you. Tanner Nelson, quarterback for Collinsville, he really played well. Had 4 touchdowns, over 50 yards on passes, which is just amazing. You look to do that in 5 games, let alone one night, and then you throw in the fact that he threw for 295 and rushed for 50, which is 345 yards of total offense. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, against the Valley Head team that hasn't been quite as dominant this year as they were last year, but they're still pretty middle of the road, and you wouldn't expect those kind of numbers to be put up on them. But getting off of Collinsville for a minute and get on Valley Head, they done this last year. They went good through the season. They lost their last game, and then it carried over into the playoffs, and they lost that first round to Brilliant. Artie, does that carry over to this year? Does that make this the same Valley Head team it was a year ago?
I really don't think that's like comparing apples to oranges. This team is just not near as dominant and near as, has so much momentum as that team last year. I think that team last year was very disappointed to get beat in the first round. This team, they're not really looking, too far ahead. They're just trying to get that first win in the first round.
And hopefully they can, against a pretty good, pretty battle-tested South Lamar team.
Well, you look at their record, and it's kind of misleading, but you kind of, look a little bit closer, and you notice that they really kind of hung in there with some of those bigger teams, being the Berry and being Hubbardsville and also Marion County. Didn't lose those games by a whole lot.
No, they've played hard this year, and it'll be a good test for Valley Head. But we want to send another shout-out and a good congratulations to the Collinsville Panthers to be our PSN Team of the Week.
Absolutely. Hats off to you.
Well, you've heard it, Team of the Week, Collinsville Panthers. Already, before we close out the show, I believe we have a shout-out for this week.
We do. We actually have a very special one. It's our first coach to ever follow us, and we appreciate that. And that would be the Boaz Pirates head coach, Mr. Eric Whaley. He began following us this past week, which we, like I say, we appreciate. And also, Nikita, we have another team to add to that.
Yeah, it looks like the Leeds Green Wave, the big dog in 4A, decided they wanted to follow us, and hopefully they'll keep tuned in to our YouTube channel and keep us turned on.
Well, hopefully they'll appreciate the fact we picked them to win the state title also, so,
Well, fellas, y'all ran down your predictions, your Final Four, your state title game, from 1A to 7A, or from 7A to 1A, however you want to look at it. Any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Just tune in next week, folks. We will break down our brackets and how bad we missed or how good we were, and look at your second round matchups going into the third round for the next week.
Well, me personally, I picked a lot of upsets going into this week, which I don't normally do, but, we'll see how all that pans out. It could destroy my bracket, and it may work out for me. You just don't know. You just do the best you can with what you've got as far as information. But just, keep in mind that these are, our area covered teams. We pick against you, but that don't mean you got to lose. Just go out there, do the best you can do, and give it all you got, and, you'll be blessed for it, maybe.
Well, everyone, join us again next week. As like we previously said, we'll break down everything from round 2. Continue to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, check out our stuff on YouTube, leave us comments, questions if you have any. We'll try to answer them on the show, next week, on down the road. But for Artie and Nikita, I'm Brock Bennett, and we're signing off from PSN Sports Network.